Beautiful day in Minnesota as USA Ultimate proudly presents the 2019 US Open Ultimate Championship. Final of the day is in the mixed division and a classic showdown between two longtime rivals, Minneapolis Dragon Thrust, the hometown team, and Seattle Mixtape. Good afternoon and welcome again, everybody. Evan Lepler with Megan Tormey. Ian Toner down on the field in just a couple of moments. These two teams are very familiar with each other. They are both former national champions. They're both former US Open champions. So you are expecting what?
An absolutely great down-to-the-wire game.
We're waiting for that in the mixed division because so far in the bracket, quarters and semis, we have not had a game that has gone down to the wire. The closest game has been decided by 4, but this Minneapolis Dragon Thrust team, they have the home field advantage. They've got some good rookies, and Emily Bacon from the backfield last night really took charge of the offense.
Yeah, the offense had a great rhythm, often thanks to her movement down the field. When she got it, she unleashed throws like this, eating up a ton of yards. It kept things moving, which meant Snake Country really didn't have the opportunity to set on a tight defense, which gave them the comfortable margin we saw.
Between Bacon's backhands and Caleb Denicourt's lefty hammers, Dragon Thrust's O-line was difficult to stop. They were a winner in their semifinal last night, as obviously was Seattle Mixtape with an impressive performance after stumbling early against Mischief. This Mixtape team may have lost some pieces, but they've got some key returners back. Obviously, players like Khalif El-Salam and Jeg Cogburn. And what about what Dominic Cavallero did last night? He's always been a gunslinger, but he's just got a knack for picking his spots.
He was on fire last night. Every throw he unleashed was an absolute beauty, timed perfectly and stretched the field for Mixtape. It really threw Mischief for a loop because then their defensive sets stopped working because Cavallero was able to find that open space deep, making it impossible for Mischief to decide which threat to take away.
And Mixtape has been delighted with the additions that their female players, particularly Catherine Song, are playing almost every point, along with Emily Smith-Wilson. These two teams have met 11 times previously this decade. It's as close as it can get. 6-5 in the all-time rivalry. A championship is on the line today. The mixed final at the US Open is next. The USA Ultimate US Open Club Championships are presented by Spin Ultimate, providing custom team uniforms and ultimate apparel since 2007. Visit Spin Ultimate on the web at spinultimate.com. By the Ultimate History Book, illuminating the legendary stories, moments, and photos from the sport of Ultimate over the past 50 years. Learn more at ultimatehistorybook.com. And by Discraft, home of the Ultra Star, the official disc of USA Ultimate. Now featuring an updated website to make ordering custom discs easier than ever. Visit discraft.com for all your custom disc needs. It's a familiar final in the mixed division. Mixtape and Dragon Thrust. And for a little more pregame insight, we send it down to the sidelines. Ian Toner, take it away.
Thanks very much, Evan. I was able to speak with Dragon Thrust coach John Gross before the opening poll here. He said he wants his team to keep 2 things in mind. 1, understand that past success is not a predictor of future performance. Sure, Dragon Thrust beat Mixtape handily earlier in this tournament. Sure, Dragon Thrust won under the lights last night, but you can't take those victories or those performances for granted heading into this game. Number 2, they need to understand that there are going to be long points in this game, and they need to appreciate the grind that's going to come when they need to battle through those points. We'll be excited to see how that plays out here. Back to you, Evan.
John Gross in his second year at the helm of the Dragon Thrust program after Jake Henderson led this team to back-to-back-to-back national championships with a world championship and double peak mixed in. Meanwhile, this Mixtape team, there are only 3 teams that they've ever played that they have a losing record against. Ellipsis, Doe, Space Heater, and Dragon Thrust, one of the 4 teams. Dragon Thrust 6-5 all time against Mixtape. But interestingly, Megan, Mixtape is 3-0 against Dragon at the US Open. And a bobble and a drop by Brett Sullivan in the opening point. Quickly to the end zone and in. Evan Klein wastes no time sending it to Jen Cogburn, who makes the catch. And an immediate break less than 45 seconds into the game.
It is worth mentioning at this point that Dragon Thrust had the later semifinal last night, wrapping things up at 11 p.m. They did get to go home and sleep in their own beds, but that still is a quicker turnaround. And Klein undoubtedly very thankful for Cogburn's ability to read the sideline and the disc simultaneously.
Jen City, as she has been called by her teammates. Now in her 5th year on the Mixtape roster. She was one of the 6 women that Mixtape had at the start of the weekend. Their opponents quickly realized it and started to go 4 women against them to just try to run the women to the ground. They've got 3 young high schoolers who are playing in the YCC division. Abby Hecko, Hazel Ostosky, and Sophia Palmer, who they are hopeful will add some more female depth as the season progresses. Second offensive point, and it's Bacon. We mentioned in the open, her 8th year on the Dragon Thrust squad. Caleb Denicourt. This is Kat Ritzman. And Bacon misjudged it. Floated over her head, unable to make the catch.
You're on, Kat. You're in, Kat. You're in, back up. You're in, back up.
Cam Bailey, lefty backhand. Incomplete.
Would have been a nice break, but not quite enough spin as he popped that over the top.
Ritzman downfield, holstered by Ludford. Dragon Thrust floated it a little too much, and Jen City roaming and ripping it away from Ludford.
Jen Cochran with the takeaway disc over to Mixtape.
Here's Klein, and he'll shoot it. Emily Smith-Wilson makes the catch. And now Bailey tried to land in, and he did. This guy always aspires to lead his team in layouts. And that one he could have caught on his feet, but he wouldn't have landed in the end zone. The layout gets him the goal, and it's 2-0 lead for Mixtape.
That's the Cogburn D that gave Mixtape the break opportunity. Klein puts it up for Smith-Wilson. Look how well she reads this. She turns her right shoulder ever so slightly to reach back to keep her own arm above her Dragon Thrust defender. And then what a clever bid from Bailey, who lands thigh first for the score.
Yeah, very close to the front line, very close to the sideline. Bailey able to make the snag. Bailey, El Salam, and Lexi Garrity, the only members of this Mixtape team who have been a part of all 11 meetings previously against Dragon Thrust. And I mentioned how Mixtape's 3-0 against Dragon Thrust in the bracket at the US Open. Dragon Thrust is 3-0 against Mixtape in the bracket at Nationals. So there's a weird reverse symmetry there. Holly Denicourt plays it back to Tavis Layton. And then he turns it over, trying to find Denicourt. And Dragon Thrust It's still early, but Mixtape looking for something of an early knockout punch. Great handler defense, but a better reset throw from Henry Fan to Khalif El Salam. Good defense from Sarah Meckstroth. Sneaking it up the line. Goodness, somehow that worked as well. And it's 3-0 Mixtape on that crazy catch from Evan Klein. You couldn't find a tighter space to hit up the line.
Dragon Thrust really struggling to find those short reset connections. And Fan clearly has belief in Klein's flexibility.
What footwork. I mean, this is really well done by Klein. Put into a tough spot with the defender on his back. Like 90% of his body's out of bounds, but that one toe landed first inbounds, and Bailey gets a little too excited.
Frankly, I think that amount of excitement was fair after watching your teammate nearly do the splits to stay in bounds.
Well, Mixtape comes into this game with a mindset that they know they cannot win the Triple Crown this year because they are not attending the Pro Championships at Labor Day weekend. But they can prevent any other team from winning the Triple Crown today if they can take down Dragon Thrust here. Still waiting for a close game in this mixed bracket, quarters and semis. Previous 6 games decided by 29 goals. You can hear the words of Dragon Thrust coach John Gross just yelling, "We have to work harder." And he's right.
Yeah, they've dug themselves into an early hole just by making careless execution mistakes. It is hot. I'm sure they are tired, but that is the time where it is essential to dial down on the fundamentals.
Reed Hendrickson launching the pull. 3 straight scores for Seattle to start this final. Bacon. And here's Hran. May have been fouled on the throw, but to the completion, so they'll continue. Ritzman, though, throws it into the defender. Hendrickson stride for stride with Denekor. Great defense, and again, better decision-making required for Minnesota's team. Tough grab made there by Emily Kai. Khalif El Salam to Hendrickson. And that disc somehow sneaks through to Bailey. Feels like everything is working for Mixtape right now. That cannot last forever. Zi Chen had his swing attempt swatted. Jacob Lean gets a piece of it. Just the second turnover for Mixtape.
Nice follow through from Lean, who reads Fan's decision as he's making it.
Denekor, low throw saved by Ritzman. Bluffs another deep shot. Now up the line to Bacon. And she throws it away. Ludford was open. It needed to be precise. And the Dragon mistakes building upon each other.
You see it come out of her hand with not nearly enough spin. Instantly frustrated, and understandably so.
Gets rid of the headband. And El Salam initiates. Here's Bailey. High release flick downfield, Hendrickson. And he'll shoot it. Looking for Bailey, but Denacor had the position. As soon as Hendrickson caught that disc, he was looking deep. And no one was going deep, and he was just kind of waiting for somebody to go. And Bailey wasn't open, but he fired anyway, and that's a turnover.
That's too bad.
Timeout taken by Dragon Thrust. This is their 4th offensive point. They've had 3 straight breaks to start this game. And we have seen plenty of 3-4 goal leads overcome, but right now, Dragon Thrust just needs to make the easy play.
Yeah, we've seen that. We've seen that deficit overcome from teams who are looking a little more dialed in. Dragon Thrust is looking absolutely exhausted, frankly.
Dragon Thrust fell behind last night against Snake Country. They were down 2-0 and then answered with a 4-0 run. So we've seen them put strings together. John Gross's team discombobulated at the moment. '19-year-old Leo Seville Fernandez to pick up the disc. Bailey on the mark.
Great hit, Leo.
And inside break. Connecting with Ludford.
Go, nice white.
Back to Bacon.
Yeah, Leo.
Seville Fernandez launching.
Yeah, Jacob. Great shot, Leo.
Jacob Lean just shy of the goal line. And he waits his time, patiently finding the open man, but a travel was called way back on the huck from Seville Fernandez. Travel call has been upheld. It's a tough one.
Yeah.
It looks like he rounded it just a little bit.
Everybody happy?
Dengler did uphold the travel. To Bacon. Here's Lean. El Salam step for step with Denacor, so Lean forced to fire, and Bailey roaming defensively picks it off.
And Bailey with a takeaway, just over to
To
Mixtape.
Cogburn. Denacor with another block. The 6th turnover of the point, but Dragon Thrust, Megan, has turned the disc over 7 times before scoring a goal in this game. Make it 8. Uncharacteristic drop from Hron.
Just back to Mixtape.
And now Mixtape trying to take its time. Z Chen walking slowly to the disc. Forced flick, but the high release lefty backhand works to Cogburn. And that's the 4th break to start the game for the 206.
Minneapolis 0.
All of the mistakes or the turns we have seen from Dragon Thrust are mistakes on themselves, either executing errors or poor decisions on long throws. That's always a tough place to be because clearly they can turn this around, but finding the energy necessary is going to be incredibly challenging.
Seattle Mixtape has had a great start to the 2019 club season. They took the Pro Elite Challenge, the Colorado Cup, on July 14th. Trying to win the U.S. Open here, and as we said earlier, they will not be attending the Pro Championships on September 2nd, but they almost certainly will be back at the National Championships in San Diego in October. We are in the midst of a hydration timeout right now and a level 1 heat advisory. Ian Toner, how's it feel down there?
It does feel warmer than it was up in the booth for our last game, but just a little bit more on this level 1 heat advisory. USA Ultimate is using a wet bulb globe thermometer to monitor not just the temperature, but other conditions like wind, humidity, how things feel down here on the turf. They're taking an average of readings over a period of time. And this causes, when we're in level 1, water breaks when the first team reaches 4, another one when the first team reaches 12. This is all done in the name of player safety, trying to prevent any heat stroke or other types of injury or illness that could be avoidable in these conditions. Evan?
Mixtape handling the conditions better at the start. Talking about how many times these teams have met in big games, how close the rivalry has been. Here's a different way of looking at how close the rivalry is. When the opening poll was thrown in this game, Seattle Mixtape had 2,291 Twitter followers, the exact same number that Dragon Thrust had at the start of the game.
That is not possible.
Mixtape has added a couple followers since the game began, so Dragon Thrust could use your support.
In more ways than one.
Yes. Mixtape has 4 goals and 2 Twitter followers added so far since the start of the game. I thank Cam Bailey for pointing out that Twitter nugget. He's hoping that the Seattle Mixtape Twitter shout-out will give them a boost in the social media department.
I have to say, you have peaked in terms of nuggets you've given on air. That's got to be the best one.
Well, perhaps a little more relevant is the fact that this was the first year that Mixtape held tryouts, and Adam Simon, who hasn't gotten on the field yet because he's an offensive player, was one of the guys that attended tryouts. On the last day of tryouts, they had 15 people left battling for 9 spots. They played a game, the returners versus the tryouts, and the tryouts won. And the returners were not happy about it.
Sure not.
That gives you an idea of the talent that they've added with Kieran Kelly and Bryson Fox, along with Michael Bribois, Catherine Songer, Emily Kai, Zach Sabin. It's a strong crew of Mixtape rookies.
I'm sure it's not incredibly difficult to integrate people like Kieran Kelly,
No,
Adam Simon.
this is none of their first club go-arounds.
Sure. But all the same, I do have to say, I think Mixtape's culture of being open, having a lot of fun, keeping things loose and relaxed, has to be helpful and beneficial for integrating those big players and enabling them to continue to perform well as a team.
Mextroth looking deep, and right there was Evan Klein ready to pounce, forcing Schoenrock to go up early. Another Dragon Thrust giveaway.
Here we go, on D, on D.
Henry Fan to put it in play for Mixtape.
Yeah, Beebs, ready, Beebs, Beebs.
Fan breaks the mark. Nice layout grab. Smith-Wilson. Mentioned yesterday, Smith-Wilson from Bozeman, Montana. The 37-year-old was part of the Mental Toss Fly Coons Championship a little over a decade ago in the mixed division. Klein shooting another flick deep. A couple of targets nearby, and it was taken by Bribois, who dishes for another Mixtape break. 5-0 as Smith-Wilson scores Megan, can you put into perspective how stunning this is?
I think the thing that is most stunning
Minneapolis 0.
is how difficult things are for Dragon Thrust. It's not like they're generating a little bit of momentum and then making a careless mistake. It's not like Mixtape is putting on such intense pressure that they're forcing misthrows. I have to give credit to Smith Wilson that point. The second she realized Bribois was going to make that grab, she ran even farther into the end zone, reacting quickly enough to be the easy goal scorer after Bribois got up.
Smith Wilson been playing Ultimate for nearly 2 decades now. Mother of a 6-year-old daughter. And Michael Bribois. His teammates told us his name was Brisbois yesterday, and when I triple checked with him after the game and he said it was Bribois, I felt bad. And he's like, no, everybody calls me Brisbois, it's fine. But Bribois is the name. And he has been a huge addition. 5 different throwers for goals for Mixtape so far, and Dragon Thrust is finally, mercifully on the board with Ritzman hauling in the long huck. Almost a sarcastic cheer from the crowd.
For as mightily as they have struggled,
That's Seattle 5, Minneapolis 1.
that throw from Blaine had to feel nice. You notice that he pump faked to ensure that the throw would reach his intended target at the appropriate time.
And just the right amount of float. There is a small breeze right now. That was kind of an upwind throw, which helped the wind. That did help the disc hang up there a little bit. So Dragon Thrust has 1, and now they get their D-line out there, and finally, the Mixtape offense gets to play. See Adam Simon, Bryson Fox, Kieran Kelly taking the field. Those guys, I don't believe, have played yet in this game.
Neil Hankey on the pull for Dragon Thrust.
A look at the Dragon D-line, led by Hankey, who launches the pull. Tough bounce on the landing of that pull. Catherine Songer gets it to Simon, but he's in his own end zone. Simon had a wide open player deep, but Mextroth was about 15 yards trailing, and get the sense she was trying to bait that deep shot to the smaller target, Emily Kai. There's the first turnover for the Mixtape offense. Near the sideline, Zach Sabin unable to hang on. Mextroth. Berglund. Daring shot. Overly ambitious. I mean, there's a chance that works, but that's not an easy throw or catch.
This goes back to Mixtape on the Dragon Thrust turn.
Patience would have been advisable that possession, especially given the deficit that Dragon Thrust has to overcome.
Oh, goodness. Mextroth hit Kai pretty hard there. Not sure Emily Kai had a chance at the disc, but You could argue that was dangerous on at least one of their parts. Kai shaken up.
Have an injury on the play.
Mexstroth leaping in the air, and athletic play that caught Kai in the side of the head. We have seen less contact than that carded this weekend.
Yep.
Mixtape maintains possession. Adam Chicken Simon lets a flick fly, and the closest receiver was in a white jersey, and it was Sarah Mexstroth.
Just over to Dragon Thrust.
Claire Thalen launching it, and there is Ludford. So Dragon has broken back and scored 2 in a row after Mixtape jumped to a 5-0 lead.
Did Chicken's throw get deflected slightly? Seemed to come out of his hand so strangely.
That's Seattle 5, Minneapolis 2.
But Dragon Thrust very quick to get that disc moving in their direction.
Tight flick from Thalen to Ludford. Well, 7 points so far. Only once has the offense held. 6 breaks. 5 for Mixtape, 1 for Dragon Thrust. Mixtape obviously still in control, but we've seen wacky things in this rivalry. 5-0 runs both ways, you never know.
Yeah, I was just going to say, if 5 breaks can start a game, there's no reason why the other team can't break back 5 times. Especially now that you have a different line. It's sometimes nice to start things out on D. You have nothing to lose.
Ryan Badalka on the pole for
You
Dragon
simply
Thrust.
throw the disc and then try and go get it back, as opposed to receive the disc and attempt to be perfect.
By the way, since the mention, both the Mixtape and Dragon Thrust Twitter accounts have skyrocketed. They're actually tied again, 2,300 followers exactly.
Mixtape turnover.
And Dragon Thrust gaining momentum on the field as well.
Travis Layton over to pick up.
It'd be amazing if we had like a live Twitter follower account on the screen. Wouldn't that be amazing?
That would be amazing, because clearly the game is now being played on 2 different fields.
It really is.
Yes, Pat! Just Lexi, stay on her, Lexi!
Stall count rising. Regan gets the dish to Layton and into the end zone. It's Trantina. That's 3 straight for Minneapolis.
Travis Layton in the end zone for Blake Trantina, and the Dragon Thrust scores.
You could not script it this way.
5, Minneapolis 3.
While the players make completing passes on the run with defense look easy often, we shouldn't forget that throwing and catching a Frisbee is a difficult task. And teams, or even great teams and great players, have mistakes. Dragon Thrust trying to seize the momentum. Hard high five from Gross to Trantina. Let's see if Minneapolis can keep it rolling. 7 of the 8 points have been breaks. And I believe a timeout was called because neither team is putting anyone on the line. Gives us a chance to recap what we have seen on this championship Sunday, starting in the women's division this morning, Megan, with the women from Medellin, Colombia, almost delivering another spectacular comeback, but the credit, I think, goes to Boston Brute Squad. Their championship medal and resilience showed in that game down the stretch.
They came out with a game plan offensively and executed it nearly flawlessly. And that is quite an accomplishment against a team as hungry as Medellin Revolution. You know that they are here to prove themselves. It's the last game. They're going to give it all they got, and Brute Squad remain unflustered.
And in the men's division, it was Sockeye, a 15-12 winner over Pony. The New York team with a couple impressive wins to get to the finals over Buzz Bullets, Truck Stop, but Sockeye over Nomadic Tribe, Ring, and then Pony, making a statement, setting the tone for the season in the men's division with wins in Colorado and here in Minnesota. Mixtape has been broken twice in a row. Dragon Thrust has scored the last 3 after Mixtape jumped out 5-zip. Smith Wilson. Downfield for Garrity. And Simon. Cavallero, who's been quiet so far, being marked tightly by Hankey. Pick downfield. Simon directing traffic, pivot foot right on the midfield line. Fires up the line, almost hit a cameraman, and it's incomplete. Good defense by our crew, and Cavallero shaken up. Take a look at how close this disc came to the camera. Look out. I'll tell you, I when I was younger, I did some of that handheld camera work, especially on a day like this. It's brutal. Kudos to our crew.
Just was out of bounds upfield.
Camera is heavy, and it is hot, especially on the turf. And flying objects coming at you. Nextroth launching. Schoenrock denied by Kelly. That would have gotten Dragon Thrust within 1. Pick downfield brings this back to Simon, and the game resumes. Kai Fong to Simon. Tell you what, Dragon Thrust has ratcheted up the intensity with the downfield defense.
They have. I see Mextroth doing this. I think there was one other player who occasionally pulls into the open lane when their player is far break side. So adding that extra body to the open lane, which makes it harder for the downfielders to cut and a little more confusing for the handler to see where exactly the open space is and try and find the person who's open to see if they can break the stack to get it there.
Simon's had enough of this, and he throws cross field, and Kieran Kelly and Emily Smith-Wilson disrupt one another from making the catch.
That's the throw you don't want.
Wow.
But that miscommunication cost Mixtape that score.
Lean launching long, well read by Fallon. And just like that, Mixtape was about to go up 6-3. Instead, it's the 4th in a row for Dragon. They're back within 1 after trailing by 5.
Without a doubt, getting their defensive line on the field has been the difference maker for Dragon Thrust. And they are suddenly infused with new life.
Brian Schoenrock running with the play. And Kieran Kelly was left in the dust. Well, just like we all expected, a close game from wire to wire, 5-4. 8 of the first 9 points going as breaks.
We were certainly hungry for breaks in the women's and men's final. We have a buffet of them in the mixed.
Wonder what Dragon Thrust would say if Mixtape offered a pull here. It's like, no, you guys start on offense. Rules of the game dictate Mixtape will receive again. Vanoka's flick pull. Bounces just past the brick. Bailey to Fan. And the deep shot flies, looking for Cogburn, back of the end zone, too far. Turnover out of the hands of Klein.
And those were the shots that Mixtape was making with ease yesterday.
After a 5-0 run to start the game for Seattle, Minneapolis could score here and answer with a 5 spot of their own. This is like the first inning of that first Red Sox-Yankee game in London, where the Yankees scored 6 and the Red Sox got 6 right back. First inning that took about 55 minutes. Denacor up the line. Regan swings it. Berglund. Low throw, but it's high enough and in the end zone to Vanoka. 5-all, we're back where we started in a way that no one could have imagined.
This is nothing if it is not exciting. I have to think Vanoka surprised even himself by making this grab and staying in.
Berglund with the assist. I think we've seen one other game like this in our 7 years of ESPN coverage. And it may have been these two teams, quite frankly. It's eluding me right now. Maybe in Rhode Island? Wild stuff. 5 for Mixtape, then 5 for Dragon immediately to answer. And now the game really begins.
Here we go, Dragons.
Neil Hankey on the pull for Dragon Trust.
Hankey launches the backhand pull. El Salam to Fan. To Klein. Those are the 3 males on the field. Smith Wilson, Cogburn, Ramirsa, and Garrity, the 4 female players for Mixtape. Tough throw near the sideline. Fan handles it. And a line drive that rises too tall for the leaping Cogburn.
That looked like it was a sure shot. But the far lip of the Frisbee was lifted just a little too high, which is why the disc sailed up.
Smith Wilson got a piece of that high release backhand attempt from Bacon. Just the 3rd turnover for Dragon Thrust in this long run after they turned it over 9 times in the first 5 points. Khalif El Salam to the open side, a pick was called. Cross field, there's the hammer if Khalif wants it. You see, top left corner of your screen, Emily Smith Wilson all alone beyond that USA Ultimate logo. And deep in the back of the end zone, I think that's Cam Bailey lying on the ground, barking traffic and getting a little breather in a quirky Cam way. Are you kidding me?
She's pointing you in. She's not saying it's down. She's pointing inbound. Let's fight.
The observers converge.
All right, do you want to call from the observer, or do you want to call? Our call is up. It's a goal.
Mixtape snaps the 5-0 Dragon run and scores. Smith Wilson's hand block keyed the short field.
Going for the no-look pass. El Salam nearly turfs it. But Fan bids to keep it alive.
Just the 2nd time in 11 points that the team that received the pull scored the goal. Henry Fan was determined that this was up. El Salam got away with one. It's often been said, behind every great layout is a poor throw.
That's well said.
I don't necessarily subscribe to that theory, but there's some people that do. Ultimate would not be as much fun if people didn't have to lay out for the disc.
Well, those two statements are not mutually exclusive. It can be true that a throw should be perfect enough that one doesn't have to lay out, but we can still be thankful that throws go errant enough that we see layouts.
So will we trade scores for the first time, or will Mixtape begin another run and earn their 6th break of the game? Technically, Mixtape is still up a break because they got 5 breaks. Dragon just got 4, tied the game up at 5. But Mixtape pulled at the start of the game. Leighton angles one up the line for Denicourt. Berglund, nice switch of the field to Leighton.
Good stacks. Good deep stacks. Yes, Reed.
Molly Denicourt.
Yes, Reed, not coming, not coming. Hey, back to the middle.
Vinoka.
Reed, we're coming. Good, Reed. Reed. Not looking, Reed. Reed, you're going, you're going, you're going. Organize right. Yeah, work safe. Yes, Henry. Now, Henry.
Good patience, and Dragon converts. Berglund to Ritzman, 6-all.
And Berglund in the end zone for Kent Richmond, and the Dragons rush score. We're all tied up at 6.
This is really a little great give-go action at the front of the end zone. Berglund fakes like he's looking towards the middle of the stack. And Ritzman just sprints straight down ahead. It's not the easiest angle to hit, but the Mixtape defenders were not at all prepared for it. So there was no body preventing Bergman from making that short little dish. And Ritzman had shaken free from her defender, so she didn't have to worry about any arm coming in and swatting it away.
The only 2 points in this game that have gone turnover free have both ended in the hands of Kat Ritzman in the end zone for Dragon Thrust. Their first goal and their most recent score to tie it up 6-all.
Come on, O-line. Come on, Chip.
Neil Hankey on the ball for Dragon Thrust.
Hankey's pull will be fielded by Bolton on the goal line. Centers to Chicken. Here's Kelly. Songer downfield for Smith-Wilson. That just dangerously floating up there, but Bolton read it well. Kelly again swings for Adam Simon. Bolton shoots it. And coming into the play to rip it away was Kieran Kelly. Not the intended target, but he saw an opening and took charge.
The Mixtape offense spread out in a way that they did so yesterday, but haven't done so much today. It gave them a lot more breathing room. That particular throw from Bolton, not executed to the best of his abilities, but as you said, Kelly recognized it was disastrously close to being D'd up. Took the straight line to save it.
Frankly, if he didn't catch it, I think one of his female teammates would have.
Oh, you think so?
I do. But he took responsibility for it, snatched it. Bolton picks up the assist, his first of the final. What a wild half. Began with 5 Mixtape breaks and then 4 Dragon Thrust breaks. From 5-0, we were tied 5-all. Last 3 points, the offense has held.
Khalif Al-Salam on the ball for Mixtape.
Dragon Thrust looking for the goal to tie things up at 7. Berglund shooting it for James Hron. And he's in the end zone. One throw, and Dragon Thrust ties the game.
Sam Berglund with a boost to the end zone for James Haran, and the Dragon Thrust score. We're all tied up at 7.
We're 4 women. You can just assume that if we're on defense. Go, Dragon, more.
A 2-throw point. And to think when we started this game, they were suffering from 2-throw turnovers.
Good throw by Berglund. And this is what Huron did for so many years in a Dragon Thrust jersey. Coming out of retirement again this year. If Dragon Thrust could break Mixtape here, we will be back on serve to go to half. Why are you laughing?
Just because this is not, nothing about this game is what I would have predicted. Except that it would be close.
Your prediction looked really bad, and now it's looking really good again. We'll see if it stays looking good or not. Mixtape turns it over carelessly. Bryson Fox with the drop. Dragon looking for its 5th break of the tape. Savell Fernandez to Bacon. Good poach there from Simon. Observer has his hand up. One observer signaling goal, and now all of them together signaling a pick.
Who's on the throwback? Sorry. I thought the pick was coming from over here. I was like, no, that's not involved. Yeah, we're all good. Not bad. Make sure
This
everybody's
going back to Leo Savell Fernandez.
All right. 3, 2, 1.
Savell Fernandez puts it on the money. And we are on serve heading into the half. Dragon Thrust trailed 5-0 and takes half 8-7.
Fernandez to the end zone for Brian Schoenrock. And the Dragon Thrust score.
You could not make this stuff up.
Absolutely not. The same kind of careless mistakes that Dragon Thrust was exhibiting now seem to play Mixtape.
Minneapolis Dragon Thrust 8.
And watch Strings attack the disc, knowing that Bolton has his eyes on him.
Everybody remembers who won half. They always remember.
Let's go down to Ian.
Thanks, Evan. Coach, a surprising game of runs there in the first half. Let's start first. Why was your offense having so much trouble in the first 5 points of this game?
I think, we're playing in a stadium and there's a slight wind, and just little miscues led to turnovers, and then their defensive efficiency was really good. We made one mistake and they made us pay.
After that 5-goal deficit, you found a way to stabilize and fight back. What did your defense do that applied the right amount of pressure?
We knew we've played this team a lot, and so we know that we can play with them, and this is going to be a game of runs, and who wants it more? And so we just kept saying during timeouts, keep believing, keep running our systems, we're going to get our time, and when we do, capitalize.
What do you want to emphasize in the halftime huddle here?
Just keep moving, keep doing the same thing, keep wanting this more, and keep running. We don't have to sit on planes after this, so let's use everything we got and go home.
Coach, good luck at the second half. Thank you for your time. Evan, back up to you.
Yeah, what a run by Minneapolis Dragon Thrust, not only on the field, but also in the Twitter follower department. They are now at 2,311 followers. Mixtape, 2,303. A resurgence from Minneapolis in more ways than one. They lead 8-7 at the half. We're back on a partly cloudy but very pleasant day here in Blaine, Minnesota at the National Sports Center. The 2019 U.S. Open culminates with a mixed final and in a wild first half. Unpredictable 8-7 on serve, Dragon Thrust leads Mixtape, but Megan Tormey, there was nothing normal about the first half we just watched.
No, Dragon Thrust came out just making absolutely silly mistakes, most often on reset throws. Mixtape was faster and more adept at capitalizing, and we saw break after break after break on very confident offensive movement like this throw from Klein. They just looked more comfortable, more at ease, and far more dialed in.
Khalif El Salam forced his teammates to make some tough catches, especially Henry Fan near the goal line. Early in the game, that was the tight fit to Evan Klein that made it 3-zip. And here Evan Klein ripping it long, where Bribois makes the catch, and his quick dish, that made it 5-0, and then things started to turn. And there wasn't necessarily one play that made the game turn. Perhaps as much as anything, it was this deep shot from Leighton to Ritzman that got Dragon Thrust on the board and said, okay, let's settle down. The D-line's on the field. We started seeing some Mixtape mistakes.
Yeah, just the same kind of execution errors that Dragon Thrust was exhibiting at the beginning of the game, and having the D-line on the field meant that there was a different group of people in charge of the Frisbee, and they did it with aplomb. Suddenly, the long throws that we saw them execute with confidence in their game against Mischief yesterday were back on the field in fine fashion. Dragon Thrust staying quick, staying fast ahead of their defenders. And even they had some tough grabs that they needed to make, but Vinoka showing off that they could do it as well.
Vinoka grab tied at 5-5, then Fan scooping up the no-look shot from El Salam to make it 6-5. Adam Simon swinging the disc to Bolton. Not intended for Kieran Kelly, but here he comes anyway. That made it 7-6. Deep shot to James Hron, tied us 7-all, and then Schoenrock the break to take it to half from Leo Savell Fernandez. 8-7, Dragon Thrust leads. We're on serve. Mixtape will have the disc when the second half commences. In just a short little bit.
Championship Sunday not over yet here in Blaine, Minnesota. We're at halftime of the mixed championship game. Seattle Mixtape trailing Minneapolis Dragon Thrust. I'm here with Mixtape's Lexi Garrity. Lexi, have you ever been a part of a game with this many crazy runs?
Yeah, I've been on the team since 2014, and I think Dragon and Mixtape are just known for having epic battles where it just comes down to heart and wanting to win with your legs and run your systems.
You guys went up 5-0, and then Dragon responded with a 5-0 run of their own. What did Dragon do to make your team feel uncomfortable in that stretch?
I think Dragon did a good job of taking advantage of our miscues and incomplete cuts, but we're ready to come out firing in the second half. We're not done.
What was the message to the team in the halftime huddle?
You gotta love Henry. It's about us. Gotta love the team. Gotta quit pouting. We get a break. You gotta go get water, get back to the sideline, and give your all for your team. You gotta give more than you take, and we're gonna come out with a lot of heart and all of our legs and win the game.
Inspiring stuff. Thank you for your time, Lexi. Halftime here at the Mixed Championship game. Mixtape leading 8-7. The conclusion of championship weekend just after the break.
Dragon Thrust up 8-7, but they're getting ready to pull. Mixtape will receive. We are on serve, and well, Megan, you fantastically predicted that the game would be close beforehand, and you're absolutely right. 8-7. It would have been nice if you included the detail, clairvoyantly about the 5-0 runs mixed in, but
I thought it was going to be so exhilarating. I didn't want to ruin it by spoiling the surprise.
Dragon Thrust gaining ground in the Twitter follower battle as well. Keep you posted on that. They've got a 11-follower lead at the moment. They were tied when this game began, both on the scoreboard and in terms of Twitter followers at 2,291. Dragons gained 25 Twitter followers during the game. Simon.
Yes.
And a bobble and a drop by Sabin.
Vinoka's presence undoubtedly part of the effect.
Oh, and a catch. Denacor contacted from behind by Kelly, and he hung on regardless. That was a really impressive grab by the 30-year-old Denacor. Should that be a card in your opinion?
Anytime you're ready.
Caleb Denacor with the disc.
I know that you have harped on, just the lack of clarity in the rule. But in my mind, at least the way I've seen it occasionally played this weekend, yes, I think that should have been a card.
Denacor dishes to the end zone, and for the first time in this game, Dragon Thrust leads by more than one. 9-7 Minneapolis. A break to begin the second half. Caleb Denacor heavily involved in that last point for Minneapolis. Dragon Thrust, a 15-11 win over a Space Heater team that obviously has a ton of talent. Superstars like Georgia Bosher and Sandy Jorgensen and Jenny Fay and Pat Schreiwise and Alan Kolick, and you could go on. Space Heater still finding its form this weekend. Mixtape 15-10 over their Seattle rivals BFG. Snake Country and Mischief, the two semifinalists that fell short last night. Wild night. We were here until after 11 p.m. local time. In the third semifinal, the first mixed semi between Mixtape and Mischief, with the score 3-2 in the first half. There was a lengthy lightning delay. And the theme for Mixtape after they won the game was Gloria. They need to put the jukebox on again.
They absolutely do. Yet another mistake. Fong misread where Chicken was running.
This is all right. Lexi. Stay on her, Lexi. Yeah, clear.
One observer ruled her in, the other ruled her out, and play continues.
Yeah, Leo.
And there's no doubt Emily Bacon is in. It's now a 10-2 run from Dragon after Mixtape led this game 5-zip.
Chicken was prepared to go strike.
More good throws from Savell Fernandez. He's now got a couple assists here in the mixed final. Wonder if he will stick around the mixed division for a while. Just 19 years old. He could be a great prospect and player for this team for a very long time if he continues to play with his hometown team. He grew up in St. Paul, playing in the youth club division. Now a sophomore at Middlebury in the fall. Obviously, there's a lot of Middlebury pride already in the mixed division, both with what we've seen from Boston's Slow White in the past and now with Boston's Snake Country. 10-7 Dragon Thrust. Again, if you joined us late, where the heck were you? You missed a 5-0 start for Mixtape. When Dragon scored 5 in a row. We traded to 7s, and then a break made it 8-7 Dragon of the half, and Khalif El Salam just got D'd on the under. Vinoka the block. Denacor in pursuit. He's got it. Beating Evan Klein to the end zone for another Dragon Thrust break. Hometown fans enjoying this one.
Vinoka reaching around to make that D.
And another dime from Sam Berglund.
Yeah, Berglund's throws are dialed in at this point.
In this game now, Megan, we've had a 5-0 run, another 5-0 run, and we're currently in the midst of another 5-0 run. 3 separate 5-0 runs. It's ridiculous. The question is there another twist of momentum, or is Mixtape's crumble going to continue?
Here's my only comment to that. In the beginning, Mixtape capitalized on the mistakes that Dragon Thrust was making. When Dragon Thrust finally cleaned it up, Mixtape has really struggled. I think it's going to take Dragon Thrust starting to make mistakes. That's the only thing that could set up another Mixtape run, unless Mixtape starts to do something more defensively to pressure to pressure them.
Smith-Wilson hauls in the huck from Kelly. And a ferocious let's go from the Seattle veteran. Snaps the 5-0 run, makes it 11-8. Ultimate's a strange game because Mixtape was making it so hard on themselves, and could they complete passes? Could they get an easy score? And then all of a sudden, boom, one throw. Kelly puts it up. Smith-Wilson runs it down. It was a Fallon, or I beg your pardon, it was a Leighton to Ritzman huck that snapped Mixtape's early 5-0 run and got Dragon Thrust going.
Yeah, it's a whole different ball game when you start out on defense. As I said earlier, you get to play with the idea that you've got nothing to lose.
Am I crazy, or I mean, I'm almost anticipating Mixtape to run off 3 more breaks right here. See if Dragon Thrust can bring some normalcy back to this mixed final by just calmly converting on this point. Leighton Denacor downfield for Weiss. And Weiss's reset throw had a strange angle to it off the arm of Berglund.
Good, looking, Sam, looking.
El Salam picks it up.
Repo, Sam.
To Reed Hendrickson. El Salam into the end zone to Cogburn. And it's 11-9.
This break was queued up by that Dragon Thrust mistake. Both teams clearly preferring to start each point without the disc in their hands, but happy to round it out in their own end zone.
Here's a pop quiz for you, Megan. There have been now 20 points in the game. How many of them have been offensive holds?
3.
Double it to 6, but there still have been 14 breaks in the 20 points we have played thus far. There was that string of 4 consecutive holds from 5-all to 7-all in the first half. Other than that, there have only been 2 holds the entire game. The Dragon Thrust score that snapped the 5-0 run at the start made it 5-1. And then the Kelly shot to Smith-Wilson that snapped the second half 5-0 run from Mixtape made the game 11-8. Here's Bacon in this battle of attrition. Nice job by Ritzman coming all the way to the disc, lets it fly. Mexstroth open, she's got it.
Ritzman to the end zone for Sarah Mexstroth. And the Dragon Thrust score.
Another nice throw from Ritzman.
Really nice put.
And an important situation there with Hron getting out of the deep space, coming back under, opening that space for Mexstroth and getting his defender out of there as well. So 12-9, still about 10 minutes away from soft cap. Dragon Thrust, a 3-time champion, and we're going to get another hydration timeout. The wet bulb globe thermometer is the device that measures a variety of different meteorological factors, including humidity and wind speed and temperature. And the calculation in that mid-80 degree range, which leads to 1 official hydration break per half. I understand why we do it. For college nationals, I thought it absolutely made sense. For club, I think there might need to be some consideration for the different depth of the rosters in club. Because I think as we've seen this rule go into effect, teams are using it not to get everyone extra rest, but to get their best players extra rest, and their best players are just playing more.
I mean, that's a completely fair consideration. I just think, you know, as it gets hotter, there's only so much you can do before the organization could be held liable for being reckless with people's well-being. You know, but all of these rules and changes impact both teams equally. So both teams are allowing their top players to rest a little bit more.
They do impact both teams equally, and you're absolutely right about the liability part of it and making the safe call in that regard. Theoretically, it impacts both teams equally, unless one team has 14 players and the other team has 24 players. Then the extra timeout is an advantage, theoretically, for the team that has fewer players.
That's fair.
We'll be with you 4 weeks from tomorrow from just outside of Philadelphia. The USA Ultimate Pro Championships. And then 7 or 8 weeks after that, we'll be in San Diego. Mixtape has some work to do if they're going to win their 3rd tournament of the season. They also won a Northwest warm-up tournament back in June. Any thoughts on the Montana Moondog roster and what they might be able to do as the season progresses?
I played against Montana Moondog in that tournament, and it's one of the most fun games that I've played in. They were very spirited, very competitive. You know, from top to bottom, they had players who could do really amazing things, and we tried a number of different defenses on them. We tried changing things up on our offense, and they still got the better of us by 1.
So you're saying it was a coaching situation where Adam didn't do a good enough job getting you guys to the finish line because you tried a bunch of things and nothing worked?
Oh my gosh, yes, let's blame it on him.
We love Adam Goff, our part-time statistician, part-time Frisbee coach, who's been busy here at the YCC tournament, the U.S. Open. So after the hydration break, Simon gets it right back from Kai Fong. Oh, tough grab made by Kelly. Low throw, he saved a turnover there. Not great spacing here from Mixtape. A lot of people are super far downfield.
And then the rest kind of crowding in the handler space.
Here's Bryson Fox. Catherine Songer. Over to Fong. Downfield Kelly with a nice cut, creating some space from Denicourt. And there was contact in the middle of the field between Berglund and Simon.
Yeah, Al, you're in.
Get drag!
I mean, I think that happened. Okay, you want to bring here just in the back? It's a foul.
One of those calls that, you know, it's important because there was contact and you want to play the game by the rules, but in terms of whether that was a foul or it wasn't a foul, it didn't really affect anything about the course of play.
Completely agree.
Ready still, Jacob, ready still.
Here's Simon, power position. Berglund resets the mark. Kelly shooting. Songer. Got it!
Wow.
There's the play of the day for Seattle Mixtape, courtesy of Catherine Songer. The Mixtape rookie going all out.
Completely left her feet to reel in that score.
Beautiful stuff from the player that Mixtape leaders call their #1 grinder. You've seen every angle. Perhaps most importantly, it brings Mixtape within 2 instead of allowing Dragon Thrust to stretch the lead to 4. Evan Klein getting ready to pull.
Evan Klein on the pull for Mixtape.
Let's go, White, let's go.
Not a great pull from Klein right there. The wind has picked up a little bit as this game has progressed. This is the downwind direction that Mixtape, or that I should say that Dragon Thrust is going. Mextroth shooting it out of the reach of Ludford. Well, the second half has been so much cleaner than the first. This is just the 5th turnover of the half. The The door open again for Mixtape. Klein with Braun matched up against him. Laser beam hung on to by Fan. Klein power position, makes the bobble and catch, then rips it deep. And there is the intended target, Ramersa. Alexa Ramersa. Her teammates call her Future. Some others call her Turbo. Mixtape within one.
Both seem to be appropriate nicknames for her in this moment.
Alexa Ramersa brings it in for the Mixtape score.
So there's another break. It's 12-11.
Great wherewithal from Kelly.
12, Seattle 11.
Bobbled the catch, but still knew where he wanted to put it as soon as he stopped rotation.
Last game of the tournament, you think Cam Bailey has any energy left?
I don't think there's any point in time, past, present, or future, where Cam Bailey will not have energy.
This deep shot hanging in the air, ripped away by Klein as a couple Dragon Thrust players collide. And the call is back on the throw.
Looks like we have a call on the throw.
Contest. Where it was when it went up. No contest. We're on one.
Ball
No
was
contest.
called, it's uncontested. Possession to stay with Dragon Thrust coming in on one. Henry Van on the mark.
Yeah, cat.
Soft cap will go on at the end of this point. It'll either be 13-11 game to 15 or 12-all game to 14. And Dragon Thrust doing some of the things that we saw early in the first half, Megan. This shot 1-on-2. Defended well by Claire Fallon and Kayla Denicourt with Sabin in pursuit.
Claire Fallon with a D. This back to Dragon Thrust.
4 turns now on the point.
I think Klein did not have the greatest read of what was going on, excuse me, when he put that throw up.
Berglund rips another. Sullivan sheds the hat. And he's unable to make the catch despite getting his hand on the plastic. Good looking throw.
Good looking throw, starts to dip down a little bit at the end. I think to Sullivan's surprise, taking a dive as it fell into the end zone.
Fan takes the timeout. It'll be Mixtape disc, trailing by 1. And I think you're right, Megan, that disc took a little dive in the final moments. We do see the flags in the end zone picking up a little bit from a wind standpoint. And Ian, if you're with us down on the field, how has the wind impacted this game from your vantage point?
You can clearly see a difference between working upwind and downwind. Earlier in the weekend, we saw other games with much stiller conditions, but as the throwers move from left to right across the screen, they're definitely fighting those upwind conditions, and as they move right to left, it's a downwind condition that can sometimes push throws a lot further out the back or deeper in the trajectory than the throwers intended.
Still hot down there, Ian?
It doesn't feel as bad as it was this morning or even in other parts of yesterday afternoon. We were getting the benefit of a little bit of cloud cover. That's clearing a little bit now, but, you know, it's changing by the minute.
Watching that throw that was intended for Sullivan again, after hearing Ian's thoughts, you can see how it started to dive just a little bit faster than Sullivan was prepared to adjust for.
Henry Fan, marked by Sam Berglund.
Sam, hard two. Two, Sam, Sam.
Here's Saban.
One, more one.
Downfield for Smith Wilson. Squeezing it through to Jen Cogburn. And now the reset for Klein. Back to Saban. Here's Klein. Launching, looking for Saban. He beat Denacor, and we're tied at 12s. Because of course we are. Nice throw here by Klein. He's got the last 2 Mixtape assists.
So his second attempt at hitting Saban, a lot more successful than the first.
And here the players on the sidelines echoing the truth. It is now a game to 2. Tied at 12-12.
I didn't realize until watching again that Saban set up his own hockey assist.
He'll get credit for that. Both these teams have great camaraderie. They built it up through the years. The returners, if not all of them, the vast majority considered great teammates that bring different elements of their personality to the team dynamic. And there are definitely different dynamics on these two teams, and it's cool to see those dynamics collide. That pull is out of bounds.
Disc is out of bounds on the pole. Leo Soval Fernandez to put it in play from the brick mark.
We began our ESPN coverage for the first semifinal yesterday. That went down to the wire. Revo over Riot 13-12. Sure would be nice to close out our ESPN coverage for the weekend with another Universe Point thriller. If these two teams can split the next 2 points, we'll do just that. As Brian Schoenrock bids, tumbles, hangs on, and makes his team up by 1, 13-12. Not the cleanest catch for Strings, but check out this job maintaining possession. Yeesh.
Oh my goodness.
We're gonna need a new Ultra Star. This was intentional. You could give him a TMF for this. Wow.
You know, I have thought all game how shocked I was that we hadn't seen a Strings layout.
You happy now?
I'm ecstatic. That exceeded my expectations.
Man, what a catch.
I'm sure he would have preferred one a little more traditional than that, but whatever gets the job done, gets the job done.
That disc is not going to remain in the game.
I don't know that I've ever seen a disc tacoed by someone's legs before.
Yeah. Maybe slightly, but not like folded in half. All right, this is must score for Mixtape. Dragon could break to win. It's been a wild game. Mixtape led 5-0. Dragon Thrust tied it up 5-all. Led 8-7 at the half. Went up 11-8. We were tied at 12, and then Schoenrock's bid gave Dragon Thrust the lead again. El Salam squeezes it through up the line. Garrity trying to get it to Simon. Now sacrifices the 15 yards, swings it for El Salam. Throwing through the contact, complete. Smith-Wilson to Simon.
Caleb ready, Caleb ready. Caleb! Break side, break
Here's
side.
Khalif.
Hey, throw her, Caleb. Oh,
A riser caught by Smith-Wilson, scoops it to the end zone. 13 all. One more point to play.
We waited all weekend for a mixed game to go down to the wire. And the throw from Smith-Wilson ensures we will finally get it.
We do have a timeout on the field. Dragon Thrust have taken their first timeout in the second half.
Dragon Thrust takes the timeout. Worth mentioning, they do have one left that they could potentially use during the final point. Mixtape, we understand, is out of timeouts. Wow. These two teams, the funny thing is they are so close. I mean, different personalities, different styles, but they've had so many games that have gone down to the wire. And this one, as bizarre as any of them, with three different separate 5-0 runs in the game, and yet here we are, 13 all, 1 point to play for the U.S. Open title. Dragon Thrust has 7 on the line. Leo Savel Fernandez, Brian Schoenrock, Sarah Meckstroff, Kat Ritzman, Caleb Denacor, Erica Bacon, and Becca Ludford. Mixtape still orchestrating its 7. Right now they've got about 12 on the line. Fans who have stuck around bearing the heat, treated to a fantastic mixed final with plenty of twists and turns, wacky moments. It's Evan Klein, Henry Fan, and Khalif El Salam. Well, this is the Dragon Thrust line that we mentioned. The other end of the field, the three males, El Salam, Fan, and Klein. Cogburn, Garrity, Smith-Wilson, and Alexa Omersa. Bacon to Savel Fernandez. He's got Denacor deep. That throw may have been deflected, and then it's caught by Denacor after it went over Khalif. The throw is for the end zone, but Schoenrock steals it and then takes a timeout. Just how they drew it up. El Salam, frustrated. Cam Bailey comes charging onto the field like a madman, raving lunatic. That disc was deflected off the foot of the mark, and Denacor caught it off the bobble, and then throwing cross field, looking for Ludford. It was intercepted by Schoenrock, which is probably the right play. Wow.
That's Dragon's second timeout, second and final timeout of the second half.
Wow. Henry Fan, how do you get the disc that solidly and have it still continue to fly?
I don't know, and he's going to be asking the same question. Such a fierce handler defender. To get your foot on it and not then get possession is heartbreaking.
So Dragon Thrust takes the timeout and has it on the goal line. Brian Schoenrock, one of the true veterans of this team in his 8th season on the Dragon Thrust roster. And that is gonna do it. An Emily Bacon layout snag to cap the U.S. Open title. What a wild, unpredictable, and absurd game that was.
Absurd is right.
Dragon Thrust 14, Mixtape 13.
How about that punctuating effort from Bacon?
Bacon fired up and gets a big hug. Such a wacky sequence, appropriately to close out a bewildering game.
I'm certainly not sure what to think about all the action that just happened. Very curious to hear and know later what the leadership have to say about this game when reviewing.
Universe point win for Minneapolis Dragon Thrust. Wow, what a game. 14-13, Dragon over Mixtape. We will be back in just a moment. The Ultimate U.S. Open Club Championships are presented by Spin Ultimate, providing custom team uniforms and ultimate apparel since 2007. Visit Spin Ultimate on the web at spinultimate.com. By the Ultimate History Book, illuminating the legendary stories, moments, and photos from the sport of Ultimate over the past 50 years. Learn more at ultimatehistrybook.com. And by Discraft, home of the Ultra Star, the official disc of USA Ultimate. Now featuring an updated website to make ordering custom discs easier than ever. Visit discraft.com for all your custom disc needs. Our Discraft play of the game, the final sequence. Henry Fan got a foot on that backhand deep. El Salam misread it. Denicourt bobbled and hung on. This was just an amazingly crazy and bizarre game, capped by a sequence that was just as absurd.
That's fair. The wonkiness of it, a microcosm of the entire game. And you have to give credit to Strings for sensing that the adrenaline was starting to get the offense out of their control, calls a timeout, draws this up.
Play of the game brought to you by Discraft. Bacon the layout grab to win it. She's standing by with Ian.
Thanks a lot, Evan. Erica, Strings called a timeout there on the goal line. What was the play call before you made that game-winning grab?
I don't want to give too much away, but Strings and I actually live in Iowa and play pickup together 4 to 5 times a week, and so we get each other, and so it was kind of just a 2-on-2 scenario.
You've been a part of this Dragon Thrust squad for so many years. You've got some new, fresh talent that's contributing. How do you describe this new Dragon Thrust team's identity?
It's been a melting pot. We've got all our new talent coming from really, really experienced other club teams, and so it's been really fun trying to figure out how to incorporate really talented people from other well-known programs and building a new program around it.
What does this U.S. Open Championship mean in the context of Dragon Thrust's 2019 season and ambitions?
In terms of the season, it's just step one of many, and it's a good boost in our confidence, but, I mean, that was a really big fight, and we need to take the fight home with us and work harder.
Well, congratulations on the victory. Thank you for giving us your time. You got to go get a medal over there. Evan, back up to you.
Yeah, great job, Ian. Congrats to Emily Bacon and Minneapolis Dragon Thrust. They garner another U.S. Open title, and they're now 7-5 all-time against their rivals from Seattle, a 14-13 win. Megan, this game clearly could have gone either way.
Yeah, that's a very fair point. It could have gone either way. I really do think that Dragon Thrust did a slightly better job of managing the mistakes that plagued them in the beginning of the game. And once they started to get those mistakes under control, they were ever so slightly in more control than Mixtape, which is why we see just a 1-point victory over Mixtape.
Yeah, this game cleaned up considerably after it was 6-5, far fewer turnovers in the second half, and Dragon Thrust was just the bounce or bend of the disc better down the stretch as Dragon Thrust prevails 14-13. So your 2019 U.S. Open champions in the women's division, Boston Brute Squad. In the men's division, Seattle Sockeye. And in the mixed division, Minneapolis Dragon Thrust. We thank you so much for spending part of this first weekend in August with us here from the National Sports Center in Blaine, Minnesota. The Triple Crown Tour continues in the coming weeks. We'll have live coverage of the finals at the Pro Championships 4 weeks from tomorrow on Monday, September 2nd. But for now, on behalf of Megan Tormey and Ian Toner, along with our entire crew battling through the heat and the elements, my name is Evan Lepler. It has, as always, been a privilege and honor to bring you USA Ultimate's Triple Crown Tour. Brute Squad, Sockeye, Dragon Thrust, 2019 U.S. Open champs.